The reason is that it is very important to analyze and study the reaction of man in these real and natural situations, because life is like that, bitter, sad, and of course, unfair. It was the last week that I talked about the history of the movement of realism and its major aspects. Today we're going to talk about a literary movement, especially in the case of novels, which is very close to the tenets of realism. I mean, naturalism. Naturalism was a 19th century literary movement, and it is usually regarded as an extreme and special form of realism. These two literary schools, realism and naturalism, share the same artistic principles, but naturalistic writers put greater stress on the influence and importance of science. If you want to know about the major principles and aspects of realism, which is somehow a complementary video to this video, I will put the link of that video in the description down below. You can check and watch that video too. Naturalism has its origins in the scientific thought and also the philosophy of materialism in 19th century. So we can say that naturalism is a kind of scientific experiment, and according to Émile Zola, who is the chief exponent of naturalism, the writers of this movement try to take a slice of life and subject it to a kind of scientific analysis. This is a very beautiful and influencing description. This is very interesting, and reading naturalistic novels make you to think about these novels, and by the end of the story you will get more information about nature, especially human nature, and also the harsh relationship between human nature and the nature out there in a very broad sense. By the way, my name is Sohail, and if you're interested in topics related to literature, reading, literary criticism, and so on, hit that subscribe button to watch my future videos as well. And thumbs up for this video if you think it adds value so far. It was the French novelists like Balzac and Émile Zola who established the basis of naturalism. Balzac practiced for the first time a kind of fiction in which man is placed in the middle of social milieu and treated as a kind of passive product in his environment. Émile Zola was also a writer who follows the ideas of Darwin and the French physiologist Claude Bernard to see man as a product of his social condition. So we, human beings, are mechanisms who respond to behavioristic stimuli in circumstances around us, and this means the pure realism, that is the relationship, or let's say the close relationship we have with the natural environment around us. So the question is, what is the role of the novelist here? The novelist is like a scientist who do experiments and study the social life of man and finally reports his findings in a novel. To put it simply, the naturalistic novelist put the character in the middle of social and natural conditions and let him to move and experience the harsh realities of life and survive finally, because according to Darwin the natural selection is like that, and only the ones who are the fittest for this condition can survive. The point which is very important is that the novelist should report without sentiment or moralizing, and we see that Émile Zola and also Flaubert are the best writers in this kind of naturalistic attitude. They chose their materials from sordid, ugly side of life, and they try to report about sex, hunger, murder, poverty, and disease. The reason is that it is very important to analyze and study the reaction of man in these real and natural situations, because life is like that, bitter, sad, and of course, unfair. There are four fundamental premises of naturalism which must be considered here. Number one, there is a biological determinism in which man is controlled by his primitive animal instincts. Number two, there is a sociological and environmental determinism whereby the weak destroys and the strong survives in a world of struggle and chance. Number three, there is a scientific and impartial role of the author towards his material. Number four, there is a search for reality in the violent and in the sensational, in war, in murder, in disaster, and in poverty among the lower classes of mankind. What shapes the naturalistic tendencies in the world of literature were the advances science made in the 19th century, the influence of philosophies of materialism and rationalism, and also the reaction of artists against the freedom and subjectivity of romanticism. As a result, we see the objectivity and impartiality that science uses in its methods was wholly transferred to the literary school of naturalism. In other words, we can say that science and literature became synonymous, and their goal is to observe, record, and report the realities of life. Well, this is the end of this short video about naturalism. What is important is that this video is a kind of complementary video to my previous video about realism. So watch these two videos so that you will understand the literary movements of 19th century. Thanks for your attention. Take care.